Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth, also known as the Continuum Chronicles. As always, I'm your host, Chris Kent, the Game Master, and today we're talking about Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. But before we get into that, smash that like button, ring the bell so you know when I upload stuff, and make sure you're subscribed. We have a great community here, and it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you so much for being here. That said, let's dive in. Prologue to today's adventure takes place in the year 1911. In Gotham City, on February 19th, Bruce Wayne is born. He's the son of Thomas and Martha Wayne. In Smallville, Kansas, on June 18th, a Kryptonian escape pod crash lands in a field and is found by Jonathan and Martha Kent. 8 years later, Clark Kent begins adventuring as Superboy. He has many wild adventures, and along the way, gets his hands on a Kryptonian device called a chronoscope. He shows it to Pa Kent, and they watch it together. It functions like a TV screen, but what they are seeing is the future. Clark shows his adopted father the events of 1939, when he and Batman teamed up at the World's Fair. Clark explains that he and Batman are going to be best friends and go on lots of adventures together. Paul Kent asks who's the man under the mask, and Clark tells him. Paul asks why a millionaire playboy would fight crime, and Clark tells him Batman's origin story, which has not happened yet, but it will in a couple months if the Kents don't find a way to stop it somehow. Luckily for them, the Wayne family is opening a clinic in Lowell County tomorrow, which brings us to the main plot of today's adventure, which takes place in Lowell County, Kansas in 1919. Clark and Jonathan check into a hotel where Clark Kent changes into his Superboy costume. Pa Kent tells him that the Waynes open the clinic at noon and he has to warn them about their future. Meanwhile, across town, the Ultra-Humanite and his gang are discussing their plan to kidnap Bruce Wayne. One of the henchmen is a man named Davis, who asks why they're waiting. Why not just do it now? The Ultra-Humanite says if he's going to work for him, he'd better get it through his head that the Ultra-Humanite's plans depend on precision clockwork. Ultra says he makes no move unless it's perfectly planned. As the villains converse, Superboy flies overhead, and the people of Lowell County are astonished. Superboy flies over a road, and using his telescopic vision and X-ray vision, he spots the Wayne family arriving in their car, driven by Alfred Pennyworth. Just then, a weird armored truck cuts them off. The truck is like a transformer. Its black walls open up. Superboy likens this to a mechanical clam. Cables are fired out of the back that grapple with the Wayne's vehicle, pulling it in, like a fisherman reels in a fish. Henchmen put on their gas masks and enter the rear of the armored truck. They use knockout gas on Alfred. Thomas Wayne steps out of the car and threatens the men who abducted his family. His wife begs him to stop as one of the thugs points his weapon at Mr. Wayne's chest. Just then, Superboy attacks the truck. In 1919, Clark has a strength of 47 APs. The truck has a body of 12. Clark does 36 points of damage, peeling the armored vehicle open as if it were made of aluminum foil. Everyone inside freaks out and loses a turn. Superboy knocks out the henchman and says, "Hi, I'm Superboy." The Ultra-Humanite shoots him in the back with a death ray, which is actually a gadget with 50 APs of lightning. Superboy has a body of 35, so he takes 20 points of damage from the first hit. Ultra-Humanite then subs his remaining 2 automatic actions for 1 dice action and shoots Superboy again, doing another 20 points of damage. Knockout damage only. Superboy's body is reduced to 0. He passes out. The Ultra-Humanite checks on Superboy and says he's still alive. Incredible. There's enough voltage in these charges to kill a regiment. One of the thugs asks, "What do we do now?" Ultra yells at him to follow the plan. Dump everyone but Bruce. So they do. Sunlight beats down on Clark's skin and he wakes up. He flies after the truck and it transforms again. Wings extend and the vehicle takes flight. It leaves a trail of lead-based fumes behind and a big billow of black smoke. Clark can't see through the lead particles, so he's forced to drop out of the cloud. Meanwhile, the truck parks in a warehouse where various crates are stored. The thugs tie up Bruce and gag him and throw him in the adjoining room. Luckily for Bruce, his father introduced him to Harry Houdini recently, so Bruce slips out of the ropes and takes the gag off. Rummaging through the crates, he finds a costume inside, so he suits up. As he's doing that, Clark uses analytical smell/tracking scent to follow the fumes the truck left behind. He tracks the villains to the warehouse where Ultra-Humanite blasts him again. Once again, Clark is knocked out by the lightning ray. One of the thugs says they were going to finish Bruce off once the Waynes paid the ransom. Why not finish Clark off too? Just then, a voice from the rafters says, "Not so fast." The dark squire swings down on a rope and knocks the gun out of Ultra-Humanite's hands. On the following turn, the henchmen all shoot at Bruce, who declares active dodge. As the villains reload, Bruce, whose costume disguises him, runs over to Clark and says, "Wake up, kid." Bruce slaps him, declaring killing combat. You see, in DC Heroes, there's this power called invulnerability, but it only kicks in once you declare killing combat. It would be kind of a hassle to explain, but what the scene looks like is Bruce slaps Clark and it wakes him up. Clark is groggy for a second, then uses super breath to blow all of the bad guys against the wall using a maneuver called multi-attack. Ultra-Humanite declares he's going to use another gadget against Superboy, but he gets surprise attacked by Pa Kent, who shoots the gadget with a shotgun. The gadget sparks and the electricity disrupts Ultra-Humanite's nervous system. He's immobilized, and Jonathan Kent tells him to think twice before going after children again. The Waynes show up and they hug Bruce. They say this whole thing has made him late for the opening of the clinic. Pa Kent tells him after they're done with that, he'd like to have a word with them. Back on the Kent farm, just outside of Smallville, a young Alfred Pennyworth gets out of the car, and Thomas Wayne walks into the farmhouse. Jonathan Kent takes him down to the basement, which is full of Kryptonian gadgets. Thomas Wayne asks Mr. Kent why he would confide in him that Superboy is his son. Jonathan says it's so he's going to believe what comes next. And with that, he activates the chronoscope. And Thomas Wayne watches the events that are about to unfold a couple months from now. Thomas is shocked, but Pa Kent tells him it's not too late to change the future. Thomas says, "Let me see those images of Bruce as Batman again." Pa says, "Sure, but why?" Thomas Wayne says that Batman costume looks a lot like the costume he wore last year at Halloween. Mr. Wayne says Bruce will become Batman in 57 days. But if I avoid my fate, there will be no Batman. Which brings us to the epilogue of this game session. Thomas and Martha Wayne get dressed up for the last time. Martha says, "This is the night it happens?" Thomas says, "Yes, just a few hours from now." Martha says, "Then let's not talk about it anymore. We've already made up our minds. What must be, must be." Thomas says, "For the good of the city, darling, perhaps the whole world." Just then, Bruce runs in, saying they're going to be late. Thomas says there's something he and his wife want to say, and they may not get a chance to say it later. Bruce asks what it is. Martha says that we love you, Bruce. Sometimes, with all the business and charity and things that keep us busy, we might not have said that as often as we should. Thomas says, but it's true. We love you very, very much, and you must never forget that, son, no matter what might happen. Now go and tell Alfred to bring the car around. Bruce happily says, yes, father. And with that, the Waynes go to the Monarch Theater. They watch a silent movie. Afterwards, they walk through the alley, and a mugger stops them. 2 shots, pearls. And in that moment, Batman is born. We ran that in DC Heroes by Mayfair Games, and we hope that you enjoyed this game session. If so, and you'd like to help out the channel, be sure to press that like button. Make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell for notifications, and as always, leave us a comment, as that really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. All that said, I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.